Spiritual hot girl coach, spiritual hot girl coach. I'm a hottie. I know you see this body that you really like. Third eye popping, I can tell you what's inside. Pick a card, make you wanna pick your chin up. Motivating all the girlies, you a winner.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Spiritual Hot Girl Coach channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because this is going to be the first episode of Spiritual Talk video. So today we're going to talk about spiritual protection, and I'm just going to give an overview on my thoughts on spiritual protection and my unique ways that I spiritually protect myself. And if you are looking to go more into depth on any subject that I talk about in these spiritual talk videos, then check out my Patreon, because I am going to be going in way more into depth about these subjects. My Patreon is actually a spiritual school, so if you're interested in learning more, definitely join my Patreon. And yeah, so let's get started. Spiritual protection. I said protection, but that's how I say it though. Anyway, spiritual protection. So what is spiritual attack? We're gonna start there. So spiritual attack at its core is negative energy shifts. That's what it is. It's when your energy shifts negatively. So whether you want to blame that on something outside of yourself or not, that's going to be up to you. So if you want to call it a spiritual attack, call it a spiritual attack. If you just want to call it whatever you want to call it, but a spiritual attack at its core is just a change, a negative change in your energy. That's basically what it is. So I don't even look at spiritual attacks as, I don't take it personally, but we'll get into that later on in the video. So if y'all see me looking down, I'm just looking down at my notes so I can make sure that I'm staying on track and, you know, saying everything that I want to say. So the very first form of spiritual protection that I want to talk about is knowing thyself. So knowing thyself is the biggest, most important way to spiritually protect yourself, in my opinion. It is, because if you know yourself well enough, you can detect the energy shift within you and change it way faster than if you didn't. But you know, if you don't know yourself, spiritual attacks can do more damage because it has the opportunity to sneak up on you. And what happens when something has the opportunity to sneak up on you? You're defenseless. So if you see something coming, you're able to be equipped and aware and ready for that thing that's coming. But if you can't see anything at all, you're defenseless. So yeah, and it has the opportunity to sneak up on you, and by the time you notice, your emotions are out of control, and the momentum of that experience will be harder to stop. So when you don't know yourself and you don't realize immediately when something is off, immediately when you've been spiritually attacked, that's, by the time you are able to realize it, that spiritual attack already has gained some type of momentum and it's coming at you head on, strong. So, and a side note is that the best thing to do is to transmute. When you're in a situation where you didn't know that you were being spiritually attacked, and then when you finally become aware, it's like, oh shit, now I'm feeling these emotions, I can't calm myself down, everything is going crazy in life or whatever. The best thing that you want to do in a situation like that is transmute, because the energy is already abundant, is already big. So transmuting the energy into something else will be way better than trying to get rid of it. Just like negative energy was transferred to you, you can now transfer that energy into something else, or turn that energy into something else, because at the very, very core of things, nothing is good and nothing is bad. You just had energy sent to you. So it's going to be up to you what you do with that. But then we'll get more into that. So transmutation is so broad also. It's multifaceted. We transmute all the time without even knowing it, like writing a poem when you feel sad, or using jealousy as motivation. That's how you transmute energy a lot of the times without even knowing. I know I have an 8th house stellium, and transmuting energy kind of comes like really easily to me. It's kind of automatic. So jealousy is something that I rarely feel, because like I've transmuted energy so much, like that energy so much, to where that energy is kind of automatically transmuted into motivation for whatever goal I'm trying to reach or whatever I'm trying to do. So yeah, we transmute energy all the time. But back to protection. One of the ways that I use knowing thyself as a form of protection is I create a trigger list. Yes, a trigger list. I also teach this in all of my classes. I teach this to all of my students, to create a trigger list. A trigger list is exactly what it sounds like, a list of your triggers. Literally sitting down and jotting down every single trigger known to you. That is a trigger list, if I can say it. This list protects you instantly, because when you are aware, like I said earlier, when you are aware of your triggers, they hold less power and become allies in a way, because now they're just triggers, and triggers become symbols when you start to use them as symbols. When you do this, you literally become the tarot deck when you make your trigger list, and when you become aware of your triggers, because now you recognize the symbols of your reality, because that's all triggers are symbols, right? Just like everything, but that's another conversation. The best and easiest way to slow down or start to change the energy from negative to neutral is to disidentify with being triggered. So for example, you can, when you see that a trigger is coming up, so say one of your triggers is a person not texting you back, and you have your trigger list right here, and you're starting to feel horrible, you're starting to feel like things are going downhill, you're hitting a brick wall, like things aren't working out, you're starting to feel like some type of energy on you. All you gotta do is go back to that trigger list and go down and read your trigger list and see if any of those things happen. If any of those things happen, then you know how to move forward. Disassociate yourself with the trigger and don't take it personally, but look at it as a symbol. So you can look at it as, oh, a trigger is coming up that makes me feel unworthy. Literally say it like a robot, or say it like AI, completely with no emotion and just completely detached. Like, do it like you're studying a subject that you know nothing about. Like, oh, a trigger is coming up that makes me feel unworthy. That, when you disassociate with it, yeah. And where am I in my notes? Yeah, so sorry, I had to get back to my notes. I kind of lost it. But yeah, this is one of the ways that I use my analytical mind, my analytical brain for good. Okay, if I want to detach for something, I'll look at it in a way like I'm learning it, or like completely disassociated from it. And yeah, use being analytical or use logic to my benefit. There's plenty of ways to use logic spiritually, and that's another thing that I'm going to eventually talk about too. And yeah, so don't identify with the attack, period. Look at it as a separate thing, because in reality it's not yours. So look at it as something separate from you. And having an autoimmune disease, y'all, it really helped me to learn this, because if you know anything about autoimmune disorders and people that have autoimmune disorders, you pretty much get to know your body really good. And a lot of people go years and years and years without being diagnosed. And after a while, you start to know your body so well that if you can feel the smallest tinge and know what's going on with you. Having to pay attention to my body so much in the last couple of years, I notice everything now. I know when I'm ovulating, because I feel when I'm ovulating. I feel when the egg drops. Like, I feel everything that's going on in my body. I'm so hyper vigilant when it comes to my body. So any kind of signal that or symbol that my body gives me, I automatically know what it means. And oddly enough, I also noticed that a lot of the spiritual community has autoimmune disorders. So I have my own conspiracies about that. But anyways, another way to protect yourself is to write another list. This list is going to be a list of things that are important to you and your values. So write a list of things that are important to you and your values. And so when these things become not so important to you, you can assess the situation and do inner work and see if you have been influenced. This is a big one, y'all. This is a big one. So if you really cared about something, if something is really important to you, and then all of a sudden it's not important, that's when you might want to start doing some inner work and take a look at your trigger list again and see if something is brewing. Because if you really value something, and then all of a sudden you just feel like this aversion to it, or you don't want to do it anymore or something like that, that's going to be a situation where you want to kind of look at that. Spiritual attacks often work through other people too. So people that are important to you switching up on you all of a sudden is definitely a sign of spiritual attacks or an energy change. Definitely. This is why if I'm in a situation like this where something or someone was really good in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they switch up on me, I don't react right away. Because I'm gonna take the time to figure out spiritually if something is up first, right? I start to check with myself. I start to assess the situation with patience and my intuition, paired with like things that I know about people, like psychology, and also common sense, okay? And I make a judgment or a conclusion, and I decide if this is an energy shift, aka spiritual attack, or if it's something else, just like a normal lesson. Spiritual attacks tend to make you feel confused, indecisive, victimized. If this is a natural lesson that you're learning, like, it tends to be easier, and the less you tend to be able to learn lessons and move on. That's how life goes. Like, you go through shit, you learn the lesson, and you move on. That's the natural flow of life, right? So if you're not learning the lesson and moving on, there is something going on there. There is something going on with the energy there. And another way to point out spiritual attacks is if bad situations tend to go on forever, like never ending, like one thing after another thing after another thing after another thing after another thing. Like, spiritual attacks are psychological. They make you feel and behave irrationally, which looks like this loop of never-ending pain. So if you feel like you're in this loop of never-ending pain, like you can never get out of it, that's another sign. And when it's just a normal day-to-day issue that we all go through, they tend to be resolved pretty quickly. And if it's even if it's a significant issue, they tend to be resolved quickly. When you're in your normal energy and with no influence, yes, you're gonna have problems, because that's the human experience, and that's why we're all here to learn. But nothing should go on for, I wanted to say eons, so it's reminding me of karma too. So you can also, I don't even want to get into that in this video, but I'm just gonna say you can also have spiritual attacks from like other timelines and other, but I'm not gonna even get into that at this point. But yeah, so examples of this is like if you're always feeling opposition, like the odds are against you, or like there's always some type of like opposition when it comes to anything you try to do, like a brick wall or something is always getting in the way. Life is not supposed to feel like that. Okay, life is not supposed to feel like it's an uphill battle and I just got to keep doing this and keep doing that. Life is not supposed to feel that way. And you get what you put energy into. So if you have been consistently putting energy into something and not seeing the fruits of your labor, something is definitely off, y'all. Something is definitely off. And some things take longer, some things take time, but you should feel hopeful and not a sense of dread, like you will never get there. You should always feel hopeful, or at least neutral about the situation. You should never feel dread about anything in your life, or you should never feel trapped in any type of situation in your life. And another one may be a little controversial because this is my own opinion, but I have plenty of life proof that this is true. So if you see another person as bad or evil and it's not obvious that they're bad or evil, we know who bad people are. You know, like the murderers, the papists, you know, if you get my drift, the abusive people. We know these are not good people, right? But when you start to take regular human misunderstandings and mistakes and interpret them as evil, or as this person is not a good person, that could be a spiritual attack. So falsely accusing people of being evil or bad intentions, ill intention and stuff like that, believe it or not, that is a huge sign of spiritual attack. And remember, devil energy wants you to think that you are victimized and gives you an overwhelming need to be right. So this is the perfect recipe to get you in this loop, and this is the perfect recipe to confuse you about the people who are really good for you, right? So that's a form of spiritual attack. And it's like that devil energy, that devil energy will make you want to be almost like righteous about the wrong thing. So that's another sign of spiritual attack. And watch out for this when you have breakups, or you have like friendship breakups or something like that. when you have people that don't want to see you move on or don't want to see you succeed, this can happen a lot. So be protecting yourself when you have breakups, or you know, when you're on bad terms with people, because sometimes people can have even unconscious intentions of you not moving on, or you not finding your tribe or people. So yeah, and that's why the narcissism content is so dangerous, because a lot of the time it feeds into delusion. It feeds into people's delusion, and we have to remember that narcissism is rare, and it's an actual diagnosable personality disorder. Like, everybody does not have narcissism. So I think the narcissism like community is very dangerous, because it feeds people's delusion of everybody having it out for them. And I think it could be helpful, but at the same time it can be dangerous. So yeah. And yeah, so I'll be talking more about this subject not only on my Patreon, but also in my Hot Girl Healing Club. We will be focusing on protection in this upcoming week. Starting on Monday, we will be focusing on protection, and that's protections on all levels: spiritual, financial, family, health, all of it, all protection, because that should be the foundation of everything, is security, protection. We will be learning spells as well as practical steps to protect yourself on all levels. So if you want to meet with me one-on-one Monday through Friday for 1 hour to learn about how to combine your spiritual and practical steps to live the abundant life that you deserve, email me, y'all. I should have my email on the screen somewhere. If not, it'll be in the description. But this has been the very first episode of Spiritual Talk Video and this series, so I'm so excited. Next video, we will be discussing symbols and how to decode the symbols of your own reality and use them for spiritual growth and manifestation, and that's going to be a really, really good one. So yes, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, put a crystal ball emoji in the comments, y'all, and let me know y'all watched the video all the way through. And yeah, if you're interested in the Hot Girl Healing Club, you want to know more information about it, just email me and I'll be happy to let you know. And yeah, see y'all in the next Spiritual Talk video. Bye.